Hello everyone, so today is Tolkien Reading Day, and if you're unfamiliar, the reason that March 25th is called Tolkien Reading Day is because March 25th is the date that the ring was destroyed in Mount Doom. And so every year on March 25th, Tolkien fans read from Tolkien's work, even though I read from Tolkien's work every month of the year. But this is Tolkien Reading Day, and I know the Tolkien estate chooses a specific theme that you're supposed to read from out of Tolkien's works, but I just want to read whatever I want with Tolkien. Now, last year I did a video just like this for Tolkien Reading Day, in which I shared some of my favorite poems of Tolkien, and now I want to share 3 more Tolkien poems that I absolutely love. I think that Tolkien is the best poet to have ever lived. I just decided to quickly come out and film this, and I'm just holding the camera in my hand, no tripod or anything, so it's gonna be a bit shaky. But the first poem I want to share, this one is pretty long. I want to keep this as brief as I can. But this poem is from The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, and it is called The Last Ship. I'll try to read through this as quickly as I can, because I don't want this video to end up being too long. So, The Last Ship. Furiel looked out at 3 o'clock. The grey night was going. Far away a golden cock, clear and shrill, was crowing. The trees were dark and the dawn pale. Waking birds were cheeping. A wind moved, cool and frail, through dim leaves creeping. She watched the gleam at window grow till the long light was shimmering. On land and leaf, on grass below, grey dew was glimmering. Over the floor her white feet crept, down the stair they twinkled. Through the grass they dancing stepped, all with dew besprinkled. Her gown had jewels upon its hem, as she ran down to the river, and leaned upon a willow stem, and watched the water quiver. A kingfisher plunged down like a stone in a blue flash falling. Bending reeds were softly blown, lily leaves were sprawling. A sudden music to her came as she stood there gleaming, with free hair in the morning's flame on her shoulders streaming. Flutes there were, and harps were rung, and there was a sound of singing, like wind voices keen and young, and far bells ringing. A ship with golden beak and oar, and timbers white came gliding. Swans went sailing on before, her tall prow guiding. Fair folk out of elven land in silver grey were rowing, and 3 with crowns she saw there stand with bright hair flowing. With harp in hand they sang their song, to the slow oars swinging. Green is the land, the leaves are long, and the birds are singing. Many a day with dawn of gold this earth will lighten, many a flower will yet unfold, ere the cornfields whiten. Then whither go ye boatmen fair, down the river gliding, to twilight and to secret lair in the great forest hiding? To northern isles and shores of stone are strong swans flying, by cold waves to dwell alone, with the white gulls crying. Nay, they answered, far away, on the last road faring, leaving western havens grey, the seas of shadow daring. We go back to elven home, where the white tree's growing, and the star shines upon the foam, on the last shore flowing. To mortal fields say farewell, middle earth forsaking. In elven home a clear bell, in the high tower is shaking. Here grass fades and leaves fall, and sun and moon wither, and we have heard the far call that bids us journey thither. The oars were stayed, they turned aside. Do you hear the call, earth maiden? Furiel, Furiel, they cried, our ship is not full laden. One more only we may bear, come, for your days are speeding. Come, earth maiden, elven fair, our last call heeding. Furiel looked from the river bank, one step daring. Then deep in clay her feet sank, and she halted staring. Slowly the elven ship went by, whispering through the water. I cannot come, they heard her cry. I was born earth's daughter. No jewels bright her gown bore, as she walked back from the meadow, under roof and dark door, under the house shadow. She donned her smock of russet brown, her long hair braided, and to her work came stepping down, soon the sunlight faded. Year still after year flows down the 7 rivers. Cloud passes, sunlight glows, reed and willow quivers. As morn and eve, but never more, westward ships have waited, in mortal waters as before, and their song has faded. I love that poem. It is about the elves departing from Middle-earth to go to Valinor. And now I'm going to read two poems from The Lord of the Rings, what Tolkien is famous for. And the first one comes in the chapter that is called The Ring Goes South, and this is a song that Bilbo is singing. Anyway, here it is. I sit beside the fire and think of all that I have seen, of meadow flowers and butterflies in summers that have been, of yellow leaves and gossamer in autumns that there were, with morning mist and silver sun and wind upon my hair. I sit beside the fire and think of how the world will be when winter comes without a spring that I shall ever see. For still there are so many things that I have never seen. In every wood and every spring there is a different green. I sit beside the fire and think of people long ago, and people who will see a world that I shall never know. But all the while I sit and think of times there were before. I listen for returning feet and voices at the door. That is an amazing poem. And the last one comes from The Two Towers, in the chapter that is called The King of the Golden Hall. And I also love this poem because I think it's written in a really unique way. But anyway, here it is. And this is Aragorn singing it. Where now the horse and the rider? Where is the horn that was blowing? Where is the helm and the hauberk, and the bright hair flowing? Where is the hand on the harp string, and the red fire glowing? Where is the spring and the harvest, and the tall corn growing? They have passed like rain on the mountain, like a wind in the meadow. The days have gone down in the west, behind the hills into shadow. Who shall gather the smoke of the dead wood burning, or behold the flowing years from the sea returning? That's just beautiful poetry, and my favorite poem of all time is called The Lay of Lathian by Tolkien, but I unfortunately can't read it to you since it's 4,000 lines long, and that would take forever to film. But there it is, 3 of some of my favorite poems of Tolkien's. I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy Tolkien Reading Day, everyone.